just to name one, Shaun Storry, the comeback kid. Twice been 6-1 down and come back and won 7-6 matches.
Yeah, both of them have had some interesting routes here. Beating Chris Manning was a great result. Greg Batten defeated Carl Morris 7-0 in the first round. Cy Fitzsimmons 7-2 in the last 16. So he's obviously been playing some good stuff, even though we haven't seen him out here in this arena. He's always a solid player, isn't he? You never really see a poor standard of play from Greg. Such a good cueist.
I always think he should win more, just purely because of that. I mean, he's completely textbook stance, cue actions, just like silk. Such a good player. But I think he's just, I think there's a mental barrier there for me. That just to get him over the line, you know, to get to the semis and finals. We have a Southwest Masters down in Cornwall every year, and he's won that 2 times on the spin. Didn't win it last year. I don't know if he played it last year actually, and that's a big for this. You know, Jez Graham. There's multiple professionals from the sort of the Southwest and the Midlands that come down to it. But it's just here on these pro events, it just seems to fall short, Mark.
Yeah, it's a strange one, isn't it? I mean, there's a lot of people in that category. You wonder why they're not winning more. But in terms of pure technique, as you say, he's right up there. That last shot, he just ended up hampered. If he could have taken the balls the other way around, it would probably have been easier. But where he just didn't have very good control of the white, which has caused him a problem because he's now going to have to go back up the table. He's got a shot here, but this is high tariff. Oh, that's a good effort.
Get back in your chair, Shaun.
Yeah, he was on his feet, wasn't he?
He was up.
I can understand why, because most balls that have jawed haven't dropped in the corner, but that just had the right pace.
I think coming downstairs, get rid of this loose yellow at the bottom of the table now, Greg Batten. As Shaun Storry looks on. And he's come enough. So I think we pretty much know where we'll be going next. I think he can see his way up to anything else. So this yellow top left. Just drop it in. It's gone further than you'd like there. I'd like to stop just short onto the bottom rail really, so I could play the yellow that's next to the black, roll that in and then bump off that side rail, yellow in the other corner.
Yeah, that would have been a safer option. I mean, he could have played on the ball that he's now going to have, well, he's now looking at on the break line, but he needed to come much further if he wanted that one first.
Yeah, cut in the middle now. Expecting to make it.
Ooh, we've seen a few of those. People just pushing balls onto the far jaw.
Well, Greg will be annoyed with that.
That would have been such a good clearance. He'd done all the hard work and then slipped out of position on what looked like the routine shot in the end.
Yeah, just played way too firm, that third to last yellow. If you just drop that in, you cannot fail to take out that finish. The nearer the top rail, the better with the cue ball, and that's your guide. So, an unexpected opportunity for Shaun Storry this time. Justified he's out of his chair.
Is it one of those days where Shaun has just got the right touch? It seems like he keeps coming through these narrow matches. When he was winning a couple of seasons ago, there was a lot of that kind of thing. He was very good at just hanging on in matches that maybe he didn't have any right to win and then would come good at the right moment. Giving this some thought. See the red that's next to the yellow doesn't pass to the middle, so it needs to land on it long to one of the corner pockets. Or could touch into it here. I can understand why he did that, because felt that he was likely to end up on something else, but he hasn't landed too nice on anything. May just be able to get through to the lowest of the reds to cut it into the corner, but it's tight if he can. If not, he may only have to plant to the right centre. Well, in the end, had to bail out. He'd be disappointed from the position he was in.
Well, it's been an error-strewn start from both.
Obviously, Shaun always had the problem with the 8-ball, but he expected him to go for those.
Can Greg get through to the one in the middle? I think he can, you know. I think he can snip it in.
Yeah, and he's going to cannon naturally into that red, which will kill some of the pace.
Oh, rushed.
Well, did he need to play that with backspin? It felt like if he just played it plain ball, the red was naturally going to push away.
Well, this has been a bizarre start to this match.
Now, can he play red off yellow to move the 8-ball, or is he going to play cue ball into the cluster?
I'm telling you, Greg Batten's done that because this is his first match on the TV this week. He's been out on the outer tables with no shot clock, and it's just escaped him. He's been so used to, you know, getting that extra bit of time to make his mind up, and well, that's not fantastic, but it's okay. And I'm only saying okay. He's got a cut into the corner, quite slim, or the red must pass into the middle. Well, he's been a bit fortunate there. Then did look tighter, but he's fine.
Played a good shot to get the 8-ball out at the beginning of this clearance, so now everything's waiting for him. Strange first frame this. Both players will feel like they could have won it. This really feels like the proper part of the tournament now. Only 6 players remaining in the event. 2 through already to the semi-finals. This and 1 more quarter to come. Then there'll be a bit of a break. Have some action from the Women's Pro Series. Then we'll be getting back to the semi-finals of this event later on tonight. Still quite a lot of pool to be played around the venue. Still got the Challenger Tier 1 and 2 events in play. Not the optimum angle here. He has got some angle to work with at least. It's going in the wrong direction, but plenty of space to work around in the bottom half of the table. Well, it's given that the treatment, and that's not a good outcome. This ball very missable now. This is a thin clip, so easy just to brush this into the cushion. Problem of his own making this, handed off angle on that last red, and then went for a fairly extravagant shot to get onto the black, which hasn't really come off. Oh, good shot though. Harder than it looks.
Yeah, great shot there from Shaun.
Not bad. The yellows are really the better colour set, bar that one that's really restricted at the top. Saw him run out of time a bit in the last frame. One of the more measured players in terms of pace around the table. Yellows unsurprisingly are his choice. He's just going to have to find a way into the cluster at the top of the table. Could play yellow off red, but there's a fair bit of distance. The other problem if you do play yellow off... Well, he is struggling, as you rightly say. And funnily enough, he's played a brilliant shot despite all of that.
Yeah, because he's been for 3 days, although he wasn't in the first event, event number 7 for that long, but he's been out there playing without the shot clock, and it's now coming to haunt him. Don't forget, we've not even got to the last 10 minutes of the match yet when it's 15 seconds.
Yeah, if he finds this rushed, he's going to love that part.
Yeah.
He will get used to it. He has had plenty of experience out of these conditions, just not this weekend. The funny thing is, he was looking at a couple of other options for breaking that ball out, which weren't guaranteed. Forced just to rush something and ended up coming out close to perfectly. Now a really good chance to get his first frame on the board. He does like the big occasion. I think he'll be glad to have had a chance to be out in this arena. Always seems unfair on the players that we don't see very much of, but the reality is there's 32 matches in the last 64 stage and only a couple of them get featured on the TV table. If you keep winning though, guaranteed to get out there. Just the simple stuff to do to get this frame wrapped up now.
In it goes. Greg Batten levels things up to over 12 minutes so far, though, off the clock with these 2 frames.
Well, how about that for a break?
Yeah, classy break. Just having a little look to see if that black ball passes yellow into the top right.
Trying to spin the cue ball a bit further up the table. Didn't quite grip off the cushion as much as he wanted. He saw the cue ball spinning on its own axis. Still got a pot to the top left, but not guaranteed position after that, and that isn't really the route he wanted to take. Oh, can get through to the bottom of the yellows. That's a better option. I don't think you could quite see enough of that. Noticeable that he's playing a lot of shots on the beeps. Given that we're playing at the 32nd portion of the match still, both players using up the full allocation of time here.
Yeah, I've noticed that as well, Mark. At this pace, there's no doubt, I think, in this match, unless somebody runs away, that we are going to get well into the old 15-second a shot part of the match.
Quite looking forward to seeing it. Don't want to be mean to the
two
players, but it looks like it may be a bit of a stretch for them, the way they're playing at the moment.
Welcome to Time Foul City.
I mean, to be fair, Shaun Storry is actually known as being a pretty good player under clock pressure, and it's very good at the 6 red, so he does know how to do it. It's just he doesn't need to at the moment, so choosing not to.
That's absolutely fine as well. If you can change at the flick of a switch, I mean, that's a serious weapon to have in ultimate pool.
Yeah, he's definitely one of the players that studied the ultimate pool conditions. In the early days, he was one of the few players that was practicing with a match clock and a shot clock and practicing the 6 reds. A few more have caught up with that level of professionalism now, but that was definitely an edge he had early on.
Well, that's quite nice where she's landed. Try and pop this in, and what you can do now with the cue ball is just drag into the black ball and just push it towards that middle, also holding for yellow in the middle. So it's like it's a little stump, but just bumps that black just back towards the middle bag. Makes this finish very easy then. Play to perfection.
Yeah, he's taking these well. And after a slightly scrappy first frame, both players seem to have found their rhythm. Much better clearances from both of them. And it's Shaun Storry that goes ahead by a single frame. So behind by the single frame, what can Batten do here?
Yeah, Shaun Storry, the very definition of battle hardened. Greg's made a ball, and just by judging where they've landed, I think it'll be yellows will be going after. I'm not sure if he can get one of those reds at the bottom of the table, because reds are the easier colour. He'll certainly be using his extension here while he figures all this out, because the map for yellows is one that's going to be very tricky. Those 2 yellows up in the top left hand corner behind that red will be his main concern. I do feel he'll try and get onto them. I mean, there is an option he could play this yellow here, go into the side rail on the left and come back and bump the one that's the highest up out of those 2 and kick that one out. Well, he's played onto it, so this is quite tight now. The cue ball will be flicking off the red unless he puts some serious amount of spin on it. He's nudged into the red. It's not too bad though, so it's okay. In fact, it's very good. He's got the red out of the way now and made a path open for the yellow as well at that top of the end of the table. So the yellow just above where the front ball will go with the break. If that goes into the left-hand centre, this isn't too bad a place to be now. If it goes past that red, well, it certainly does now. But I'm not sure we want to come that far down the table there, Mark.
No, he's got himself under a bit of pressure now that he could have done without. He looked to be in quite good shape a shot or 2 ago.
Wow, he's looking at the plant.
I mean, this is tough. I mean, if you played from the cue balls where the yellow is, that shot's obviously easy, but then it's off straight, a lot of distance between all the balls. Well, good effort, but that was asking a lot.
I thought you could have played the one at the top, just cut in, come off the 2 cushions. Got into the middle of the table area, didn't you?
Yeah, I don't know if you just felt there was an unavoidable in-off that it was going to be hard to, you'd have to cue down on too much to avoid, but yeah, seems to have got himself into that problem. Would have been a good chance to get back on level terms. He's going to be a bit annoyed with himself. He's allowed Shaun in a couple of times for chances he shouldn't really have had already this match. Now, which of these balls pot? It looks like the lowest of all of the reds would. If you can get through to that, that would be alright. I don't know if any of the other ones, they all look to be slightly blocking each other. Again, time a factor. He's just looking around, realising he's getting into the last few seconds. So once he pots this one, he'll clear a path for some of the others. Going to have to take a more difficult next ball, but then once he pots the next ball, everything will be open nicely.
He's got a long red into the top left, I believe.
Yeah, because he isn't going to do too much with the white, this is a fairly straightforward shot for him.
Seen a few of these missed. Very close to the old time foul there.
Yeah, it almost feels like he's deliberately waiting. There have been a few times when he's been down on the shot that could have struck it earlier. He seems to have just carried on feathering and not rushed into anything. He's taking these well, although they weren't super difficult. He just had to unlock that pattern. The only shot he's going to have to play is the position onto the 8 ball, which is what he's just weighing up at the moment. It's easy to leave himself a bit of angle off this next shot. Could either have left more angle and played round, or just leave a slight angle and stun over, which is what he's opted for. Well, managed to bring the middle pocket into play in a way you won't have expected to do.
Flirting with danger.
Really very far away from going in there. He's now left this a little harder than it needed to be. It's still obviously a very makeable shot, but not guaranteed, is it? The fact that he can get the middle of the white there helps. He was able to cue through the pocket. If he'd have been cueing off the side cushion, that would have been a tougher shot. Mary Talbot 6-5 against Linda Mader. So Shaun Storry to break in frame 5. Well, it's made the 8 ball. That'll come back on the table. No golden breaks here. The 8 ball's effectively disregarded when it's respotted, so it would have been a dry break had he not potted anything else, but he has potted another red, so he will continue at the table. It can sometimes seem a harsh rule that when you pot the 8 ball off the break but don't pot anything else, then it's just respotted and it's over to your opponent. I suppose conceptually it does make sense because you're saying that the 8 off the break is just ignored. Either way though, cue ball a little bit tucked up here, so options not great, which is why he's not tempted to go for anything. There's been a lot between the players so far, but Greg has just thrown in a couple of slight mistakes, which is why he finds himself a couple behind. Still an open table. Colours only decided when the first ball is potted in open play after the break.
Low percentage down there, but he's got a decent cue ball, I think.
Yeah, kind of free hit, wasn't it? If it goes in, then he can carry on, but otherwise leaves Greg fairly tight. No attempt.
That's not getting there. Is it?
Only just. Now it's attempted a pot there, all about just getting the white in tight behind the yellows. Don't think this safety battle is going to last too much longer because we're running out of balls at the top of the table to play these kind of safeties off. It's going to be relatively difficult not to leave a pot after this shot. Has he just pulled up in time, or is there a path through to the red over the right centre? He may just have pulled up enough.
We're approaching the halfway stage on the match clock as well. We've only 4 frames played.
Yeah, it's not been the quickest of starts, has it?
No.
And this is why, because we keep seeing the full allocation of time used up. Oh, well, he could get through to the red. 3 open reds, 1 semi-open red, and 1 that's going to need a bit of work. Normally very clinical in amongst the balls, but he has come short of 2 clearances already in this match. So try to get a frame on the board here, show that he is part of the game. Left a good angle here if he wants to play into the cannon of yellow and red at the bottom of the table.
Well, he's got the angle here. Has to go in and kick that red out. Tries to come off the cushion and flick it, so the cue ball is coming back up for that as well. So it's like a 2-in-1 shot, but he's not made a thick enough contact. So now he only has one option, and that's the red that's next to the black. Try and use that to kick the ball out. He's all in now.
Yeah, it was a bit careless, that cannon, wasn't it? He didn't want too full of contact with the yellow, which is why he played. Oh goodness, he's missed that by a long way.
Uh-oh.
Well, he has actually, well, if he can see the potting angle of the red, potentially left himself one more chance at this. We've seen a few people have that problem. It's when you put too much pace in when you're trying to play a cannon and the ball throws a lot wider than you're expecting. Ended up missing that cannon by a long old way. This is a much harder line to pick out. There is room, but there's not a lot of room. Well, this time it's come too narrow. Last time it came too wide.
He's had 3 attempts and they've all failed. Length of the table double only.
Ooh.
Did that bounce up and hit his hand?
Yeah, it's called a foul on himself.
Yeah, it's hit his hand. He's walloped it, hit the 2 jaws.
Well, that's strange. He wasn't expecting that because he'd got the cue out of the way, but the ball ended up airborne after it hit the jaws. We have seen a couple of those. There was a ball that ended up on the floor yesterday, which is something you almost never see.
I've seen quite a few balls on the floors on these from pool tables over my time.
Well, you see that, but what was strange was that somebody played a ball into the corner pocket and it bounced off another ball and then ricocheted onto the floor. It was a strange combination of events. I think what it is showing though is that the balls can sometimes go airborne if they rattle in the jaws. The ball that most commonly ends up on the floor is the cue ball. Occasionally see object balls, not usually at this standard though.
Depends if the cue's elevated, you power into the ball and the cue ball will lift just off the cloth, so you're hitting it. The cue ball then comes down at an angle and strikes the ball, then you can have them bounce. And it's how you see like jump shots in American pool as well, because they play them into the cloth. But yeah, it's pretty rare on these sort of matches. My shots that ended up on the floor were ridiculously silly shots, so I should never played anyway. So they deserve to be under chairs and dotted around the arena. Some of in temper as well, but there you go.
A real double whammy for Greg, because not only has he given the foul away, but he's knocked his red completely dead on that top cushion, so no pressure at all on Shaun.
Shaun's short again though. It's okay, but it's just these just tiny little things that just he's not banging or bang on the ball every time.
Yeah, it seems like he's getting there all the time with these clearances.
Yeah, I'm not
but
sure
a
why.
couple have been harder than it needed to be.
Not sure why I had a bit of right hand side on that for some reason to take it further away from those two yellows. Thought sort of just straight into the cushion, straight back again would have been perfect.
He wasn't necessarily quite where he played it, but fortunately he ended up with quite a good angle.
He's plumb now. Well, he's plumb before. It's just being picky. That's all. It's that time. It's that time of the day on a Sunday. So we've had a long 4 days of pro pool.
The option of playing that position, shot off 1 or 2 cushions. Decided just to track up and down the centre of the table. Yeah, we've seen a lot of pool played, haven't we? 2 pro tournaments, 4 challenger events, 2 ladies events.
Absolute belting stuff. Lots of drama. I'm sure more to follow in tonight's matches as well. We have another quarter-final yet to come. Then, of course, we will turn our attention to the women's pro semis. We will be going backwards and forwards then through the evening. Finish off with the 2 finals.
I'm not sure it's very likely to go to a deciding frame just on time alone, though. There's only 19 minutes remaining.
No chance. That's to be the biggest turnaround in how the players have approached each and every frame so far. They'll have to start playing at a gallopy pace, which isn't going to happen. It's certainly not going to happen from Shaun because he doesn't have to be rushed in any way, shape or form now because he's got a 4-1 lead, which you have to say it's a commanding lead at the moment. I know there's just under 19 minutes left on the match clock, but it's Shaun at the table. If he could run these reds out, he's in an incredibly strong position.
Yeah, it's just not going right for Greg at the moment. Could have done with something off that break.
Up next will be Scott Gillespie against Aaron Davis. That'll be our last quarter-final. The very much in-form Scott Gillespie, should I say. But Aaron Davis very, very steady indeed and playing some good stuff himself. Had a decent run in Event 7, trying to better it in Event 8. Of course, the winner of this will play the winner of that match.
And of course, that quarter-final is a repeat of the quarter-final from Event 7.
It is, yes.
Scott Gillespie and Aaron Davis finished their match at 5 apiece. Aaron Davis then set a time of 29 seconds for the 6 red.
Yeah, I was on that.
And Scott Gillespie found a quicker clearance and followed it with a big celebration, as well he might, because he was under a lot of pressure at the end of that match. You know that quarter's going to be hard fought. Both of those two are real match players. They don't give you anything easily. A bit like Shaun Storry, similar mould. Just grinds you down. Not to say they don't play attacking stuff, but they just get the job done by whatever means. Our first semi-final is already lined up. Tom Cousins will take on Shaun Chipperfield. That one you fancy might be a slightly quicker game. Those are 2 gentlemen that like to get on with their pool.
Yeah, that'll be a fabulous game to watch with Chippy and Top Cat. Obviously Tom going out first round of Event 7 to Mark Fleming, who then went on an incredible run and lost in the final. But Tom very much in the ascendancy now in Event 8, looking quite determined. I think, okay, one bad tournament's enough, so I need to follow that with a win.
Yeah, and I don't think he thinks he played badly. I've asked him in a couple of interviews about the Mark Fleming game, and both times he said it was just a case of Mark playing well. I think Tom kind of brushed that off fairly lightly and then just got back to normal service today.
I mean, that semi-final when Mark Fleming played Cole Bedford, I mean, he was absolutely phenomenal. And then it all just sort of went wrong for him in the final against Craig Waddingham, who obviously won the tournament. This for 5-1 for Shaun Storry. And in it goes. An autopilot is on autopilot now.
He's going to need something from Shaun as well. He could really do with getting a dry break. Because if Shaun gets a ball off this break, he's going to have a chance to run for the hills. And he has made a ball. He's made two, in fact. And look at this layout he's left. These yellow balls are spread beautifully for him. Five one's already quite a big lead. 6-1 you feel like is going to be
a bigger
more
lead
than enough.
Sorry, couldn't resist.
Just going to hold yourself together for 6 or 7 more matches, Tony. Just get through to the end of the day. Not going to be too hard to motivate ourselves because we've got some big matches. 2 semis and 2 finals coming up this evening. It's going to be an evening of high quality pool on the men's and ladies' side. This is one of these finishes. There's just nothing really to think about for Shaun. He's taking the professional approach and making absolutely sure, but not very easy to see where a miss could come from.
No, he's suddenly become very measured now, Shaun Storry, in the last 2 or 3 frames.
Come around multiple times to look at this angle.
That's fine.
Knows the importance of this frame, which is why he is taking his time.
Yeah, it's the killer frame with what's left on the clock. 6-1. 5 frames to pull back in. What's going to be around 12 minutes? No.
No heroics with that. Could have played a position for the ball to the middle, but decided just to leave it long for the guaranteed shot.
Yeah, and he's got a slight angle on this as well, so he can pop this in fairly firmly and just bring the cue ball, shuffle it to the left a bit. It's a sort of punchy shot.
Yet again,
He's rolled it,
hitting it on the one of the beats.
so many times as well. That has to be a thing that he's doing on purpose. You wouldn't just do it, would you?
Well, not that several times he seems to have been well settled in position. It was like he could have hit it earlier.
For me, I'd want to be avoiding getting to the last second at all costs. It'll start making me a bit nervous.
For sure.
Well, this for the 6-1 lead.
This has been good stuff from Shaun. Feels like at the beginning of the match there wasn't a lot to choose between them, but Greg giving away a couple of chances has just helped Shaun to build his own confidence, and he's been playing better and better as the match has gone on. Just focus on this frame. Well, unsurprisingly, a bit of venom in that one. Not a bad layout. The yellows are generally the better colour set. It's just got the one that's tied up. Maybe he can play this first yellow off the red. Does he dare play that as his first shot? Or he could play for the ball in the middle first and then play that shot. So he's going to tidy up the 2 balls at the bottom of the table.
Well, it's going to be yellow off the red into this corner.
Good angle to play the shot from because he can play position on the other ball. Oh, and that's a nice touch.
Friendly, very friendly, and leave the angle. So this will be one of them.
Taking it quickly as well, which is obviously what he needed to do.
Been arguably his best frame has played at pace.
Good clearance from Greg. All the pressure was off. 6-1 down. Raced through it. Good finish in the end.
There's one of them.
Shaun's been breaking fairly well so far, so you wouldn't say that's the most likely outcome. And it isn't the outcome. He's potted a yellow and a red, a yellow and the black. The black will come back on the table.
They looked pretty good until that yellow just went and parked itself behind the red on the right-hand rail.
Not the most friendly layout, but then that doesn't really matter that much because there's only 10 minutes remaining and he's got a 4-frame lead, so even if they were to get into a slow frame, that's fine.
Yeah, it suits Shaun, all of this.
Greg hasn't got a rush, but he's got to get on with it. He can't afford to get into a tippy-tappy frame here. That is the chime for the 10-minute mark. So after this shot, we'll be down to a 15-second shot clock. He's going to feel like he has to go for a clearance here because he can't really afford to get stuck in a safety battle. But the options aren't great. He's got a few balls in tricky spots, particularly the one to the left of his hand. Well, that's a good shot. That's helped with one of the issues. Seems like the faster he plays, the better he plays. Playing with a lot more freedom now. This is so often the case from a player that's about to lose a match. Can you get through? If you can cut this ball to the right centre, that would help. Oh, this is good from Greg Batten. Just one more positional shot to be played. The remaining yellow goes top right. Could we have a comeback on our hands here? 6-1 down, it didn't look likely. This 8 ball though for 6-3. Good stuff from Greg Batten. Nice clearance to keep himself in contention in this match.
It's not going to be dry, the red's going. Got 2 reds. No, he hasn't, 1 red.
Well, for a moment it looked like he was going to pot the white, then it looked like he was going to come dry, but it's ended up okay for him.
Well, Batten at the table.
He doesn't need to be in a rush either. If he just makes this clearance, he'll still have 5 or 6 minutes left. That will be time.
Trying to swerve around and put the red over the bag. Got it, and he's also got on that red at the top. So a real chance here to make it a 6-4.
Surely he couldn't. Gotta keep believing though, whatever the scoreline is.
Need a big pot now though. And I'll tell you what, any misread here was going to present Shaun Storry with a golden opportunity to finish this match off.
Yeah, he absolutely can't miss. Oh, has this gone wrong? Does that red pass the yellow bottom left?
I don't think it does. You can get to the other one on the up the table, but that's a really tough putt up in that top right corner.
Running out of time as well.
Now that was close.
It's not a time foul, but he has missed the pot. And that, you feel, could be the end of the comeback, because these yellows are sat very nicely for Shaun Storry.
Yeah, and he has an extension in hand as well, wants to steady himself. Not just yet though. He'll save that in case he falls into some little bit of bother somewhere along the line.
Yeah, not easy to see where that would come from, because these balls are well spaced out around the table. Going to go up top and remove the balls at the top of the table next, and then he'll be left with 3 over the pockets at the bottom. Spirited mini comeback from Greg Batten, but looks to have run out of steam. I tell you what, Shaun's running it incredibly close with the shot clock.
I wouldn't be wanting to do that. Not when you got the match at your mercy. I don't know why he's getting so close. I mean, it's 4 or 5 occasions now.
I mean, here, well, a bit quicker that time.
It just seems it's almost like he's waiting for it to go to like 1 second. I mean, because we're hearing the buzzer actually go as he's just hit the ball just before.
I mean, it kind of makes sense in this position, because he is trying to waste time, but he's been doing it right from the beginning of the match. Looks like it will be too little too late though for Greg Batten. Just these 3 balls now for Shaun to book his place in the semi-final.
Extension, you reckon?
Certainly have used it if he'd have slipped out of position, but he hasn't needed it.
I'll use it now. Use it now and do a lap of honour before you putt the black. This for the match.
Entertaining match. One that Greg Batten got off to a bad start in and ultimately just left himself a bit too much to do. 2 spirited quick-fire clearances. It looked like for a moment the comeback might be on. Ultimately not enough though for Greg Batten. That's his Pro Series weekend done. He'll be off back down the motorway. For Shaun Storry, he's got a bit of time to regroup. He'll be back in our second semi-final this evening. Let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll grab a word with Shaun.